This is my week 5 video log. Week 5 saw my sampling trials really kick into full swing. By this stage, I'd begun to collect and test samples from multiple units, and it was because of these added extra units, which saw me beginning to confuse myself. Now not only testing phosphoric acid sequences, but sampling water flushes and also the sodium hydroxide or caustic sequences. Sampling so many units all at once and constantly collecting new samples saw myself quickly becoming quite overwhelmed with all the work I was creating for myself. Always working alone with minimal advice, I'd finally find myself at a point where I was in serious need of direction. I'd confused myself with all the different units and which sequences I should be sampling when I just needed to step back a second and view the entire picture. The outcome was of massive benefit to my development. A meeting with my supervisor later in the week had steered me back in the right direction. It was obvious that I still had much to learn, and being able to effectively work on multiple projects was still something I could learn much about. These skill developments are extremely important and would have never been challenged if it wasn't for my placement. The main points from week 5 are: the first point, the way I was going about collecting too many samples from different units all at once. Because I was becoming confident with the trials and lab work I was producing, I began to collect samples from multiple units, as explained earlier. However, there was an opportunity to collect too many samples. I thought I was ready and prepared for the workload I was going to present myself. Instead, I saw myself becoming confused and overwhelmed with my work. The truth was that I didn't need to sample so many units at once, and all I needed to do was slowly work through my current trials one section at a time. It wasn't until I organised a meeting with my supervisor and told him I was becoming extremely overwhelmed with what I was doing. It wasn't until that meeting when I realised that I needed to step back and view the entire picture, as my supervisor explained. The outcome from my supervisor's coaching was great for my development. The advice he had and the way he steered me back on track was a real life lesson for me within the workplace. Although I was feeling confident and on top of my work, I needed to always remember that the purpose was, and not to forget the end target. All the SRU troubleshooting from the week earlier also contributed to me becoming confused and overconfident with my current developments. Second point I want to talk about is when I was trying to create new trials for different samples. Because of the SRU's issues spoken about in my week 4 video log, the unit had been pulled apart over the weekend. I returned to work on Monday and found that there was large solids removed from all different parts of the SRU. I was asked to run trials on the solids and see what information I could gather from the laboratory. I was extremely excited to be able to design and run my own experiments without the help of others. There were 3 different material types I was required to test, and the results were required quickly. However, it was this reason why I became confused and lost track of my project's main purposes or goals. Having all this extra work from multiple new systems and trying to run trials I had no experience, let alone been shown how to run them properly, was the main contributor to me becoming confused during the week. My supervisor advised me that I was becoming occupied with the problems of others and needed to step back and view my project goals, the outcomes, and what I was personally working towards. The advice and knowledge of my supervisor really brought everything I was doing into perspective. Again, it was an enormous learning curve which saw large areas of development for myself. However, to be a fully competent professional in the workplace, there is much more skills that require development. My confidence had rose above my current level of ability due to the SRU troubleshooting, and it was good to be back on par with a clear head and direction path for my current project. It just goes to show how much more I have to learn in the workplace and how valuable the advice and information is my supervisor can currently give me on a day-to-day basis when requested.